Holy Gospel according to Matthew, the 5th chapter. Then Jesus said to them, "You have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, 'You shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment.' But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable to judgment. And if you insult a brother or sister, you will be liable to the council. And if you say, 'You fool,' you will be liable to the hell of fire. So when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are on the way to court with him, or your accuser may hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than for your whole body to go into hell. It was also said, 'Whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce.' But I say to you that anyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of unchastity, causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, 'You shall not swear falsely, but carry out the vows you have made to the Lord.' But I say to you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is the footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let your word be yes, yes, or no, no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one." The Gospel of the Lord. Be seated. Today's very long reading of the Gospel comes from a very long sermon that Jesus gave, the Sermon on the Mount. And it's something we've been working our way through the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, looking at the upside-down wisdom of God as we heard the Beatitudes. And last week, the pep talk on the Mount continued as Jesus said to his friends, "Go out there, you're ready, you've got this, you are light, you are salt." And today's section of the Sermon on the Mount includes 6 sayings of Jesus that follow a certain pattern. And that pattern is, you've heard it said in ancient times, something, but I say to you something else. And of those 6 sayings that Jesus shared, 3 of the sayings have to do with commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not bear false witness. And the other 3 sayings have to do with either laws or sayings about retribution, treatment of enemies, and divorce. Now this morning, I'm going to focus just on one of those 6 sayings, the very first one that we heard, because I believe that Jesus is saying to us that there is something more productive for us than blaming, criticizing, and judging. Yes, this morning I'm going to focus on what he said about anger. This is what he said. "You have heard it said in ancient times, 'You shall not murder.' But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you are liable to judgment. Or if you insult them," literally the word raka, an ancient expletive, "you will be liable. Or if you say to them, 'You fool,' insulting them, you will be liable. Why do I want to focus on this teaching of Jesus this morning? Well, because I believe it's relevant. School administrators, therapists, counselors, social workers could detail for us what they perceive as the decline of civility in our culture, where criticism and blaming and judging and acting out on our anger in unproductive ways is on the rise. So I believe that how we handle our anger is incredibly important. And a few years ago, a video came out from Disney called Inside Out, an animated movie, wonderful movie, talking about our emotions. And it named 5 emotions that we need to keep in balance and integrate and control. And of those emotions, lifted up our joy and fear, disgust, sadness, and yes, anger, our topic for today. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at the video, very brief video, introducing the character who played anger in Inside Out.
I'm Louis Black, and I play anger in Disney Pixar's Inside Out. Who's anger? What? He's that feeling in the back of your head when you stub your toe, or you end up stuck in traffic, or have your dinner interrupted by a telemarketer. Hang on, I'm getting a little worked up here.
Breathe, find your happy place.
Those other emotions are all too touchy-feely. I'm sad. I'm scared. Can I say that curse word now? Anger is all about getting the job done. Time to take action. So don't get in his way. Move, otherwise he might explode.
You wouldn't.
Oh, but I would. Seriously. He only does it because he really cares, though. Promise. I arrest my case.
Rated PG.
Well, a clever movie, and certainly something that I can relate to. That's Louis Black, the character who played anger. And anger is very much a part of our lives, is it not? Some would describe the protesters who are across the country as groups of angry people. Or others would describe those in social media who dislike and tweet out mean things as coming from a poisoned or an angry soul. Or who of the Atlanta Falcon fans didn't go to bed angry last week? I don't know if I can go there or not. I believe Jesus is saying something to a culture who knows anger. That there's something more productive for us than blaming or criticizing. Did you hear what he said after the warnings about not acting out on your anger? He said this, so when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go and first be reconciled to your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. What's more productive than lashing out in anger is being reconciled, which is a lofty goal, and yet Jesus doesn't go into details of how we might do that. So let me turn to a modern-day expert on mediation, Marshall Rosenberg, who cut his teeth doing mediation in the 1960s, diffusing desegregation disputes in the South. And he's formed an institute, the Nonviolent Communication Institute. You can look that up later. Has great suggestions for how we can process and keep control of our anger. He gives 4 simple steps in one suggestion, saying that we should first state the facts or focus on behavior. Second, name the feeling that is happening inside of us at the moment. And third and fourth, name your need and state a direct request related to it. So let's take an example and see how that might work. A hypothetical. Let's say a dad drives through Dunkin' Donuts one day and picks up a dozen donuts for the family. thinking this will be a great treat for everyone, including himself. So he goes back to home, places the box of donuts on the kitchen table. No one seems to be around, so he doesn't say anything to anyone, goes out to do some yard work. Now, unbeknownst to him, the kids were in the basement with some friends over, and they come upstairs, see a box of donuts, they tear into them, and an hour later, when Dad comes back in, he finds the box of donuts decimated. None left. So there are a couple different ways that this hypothetical dad could react in that situation. One, acting out of anger and blaming and criticizing would be to say, does anyone else in this house ever think of anyone but themselves? You are so selfish. Why didn't you save me a donut? See, criticism, blame, anger. That's not going to go well. According to Dr. Rosenberg, there's a different approach. One, state the facts. Wow, I'm surprised to see that all the donuts are already gone. Two, state a feeling that is happening with you at that time. You know, I'm really sad and disappointed that I didn't get a donut. I was looking forward to having one after I mowed the lawn. 3 and 4, state a need and a specific request. You know, guys, the next time this scenario happens, would it be possible for you, before you eat the last donut, to check with everyone else to see if everyone's had a chance to have one? Simple steps. Now, I have to admit, I have not always taken Dr. Rosenberg's advice. I have not always responded with a cool head to moments of anger, which is why sometimes I need to go running or work out or go over to the piano and see how loud it can be played, because I need to process, and we all need to process that anger. Perhaps the most productive way, though, of handling emotions or the emotion of anger is for us to repent in the midst of those times when we need to, and seek God's help. For God is no stranger to making amends. In fact, God is the source of reconciliation. And that's what Jesus came to share with his friends. And I think of what God did through Jesus. I'm mindful of the recall notices that I've received over time. Anyone get any recall notices in the mail from different corporations? When they mess up, they send you something like this. The Chevy Impala that we had needed a new ignition switch, so they sent a recall for that. Or Cuisinart, the blade tends to break up, so we're awaiting our brand new Cuisinart blade. Or Toyota notified us that the cable running underneath our car was prone to rusting out, so they recalled it. And in each of those instances, the corporation makes amends by replacing the parts and doing the labor for free. And I thought, isn't that instructive for us as we turn to one who offers us, as Susan said in her video, grace freely given. For Jesus' words about anger weren't just words on a mountain. They turned into actions on a hill, where at Golgotha, the anger of the world was poured out upon him. In the cruelty of the cross, he bore our insults and meanness, saying things like, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. It is accomplished. Into your hands I commit my spirit." And that total recall that God made was complete on Easter morning when he called Jesus out of the tomb and sent him into the world along with his friends, saying, "This is how reconciliation happens, through me, reconciliation to God and to one another." Thanks be to God.